Good afternoon, everybody. We are going for another flight of our A2A challenge trip, all the way from Canada down to Australia with the A2A Aerostar. And let's have a look at what we've been doing. If I zoom out completely, you can see the entire trip already. So we started here at Whitehorse, went to McCarthy, then Anchorage, then King Salmon, then Unalaska. Then started out for Shemia, but auto center off. But weather made us already go to a diversion to ADAC. From ADAC we went to Shemia, but we had a engine failure, or well, partial engine failure. We shed a cylinder over here. Then we had an uneventful nice flight from Shemia all the way to Kamchatka, and from Kamchatka a mostly VFR flight along the Kuril Islands until we got reception on VR stations, which led us to Japan. And from Memambetsu we flew over the island of Hokkaido into Hakodate. This was yesterday, where it was a very uneventful flight up until here because we got into snow, and well, the best decision would have been to go down, visual and land. But of course I did this, and then, well, you'll see what happened here. Bad decisions. Let's put it this way. Today we are flying from Hakodate to Sendai. Sendai is on the coast of the main Japanese island. I think it's the main island. Yeah. I don't know what the name of the island is, but must be Honshu or something. Anyway, Sendai is here on the coast. We will be flying mostly VFR. So I've set up some visual waypoints. We're going first to the tip of this island over here. Then we go south toward the tip of another island over here. Well, tip in the bay. Then continue on south towards a big lake with a, well, looks like a small volcano or a little mountain anyway in it. So this is a very distinguishable lake. And when navigating visually, water bodies are always the greatest because they have a particular shape, they have particular sizes, they can shimmer or reflect sunlight, so they are very much more distinguishable than, for instance, buildings. Mountains are okay, of course, but you know, this built-up area can be just as generic as this built-up area over here, so you can't really navigate on it. Also, different kinds of churches and such, they tend to blend away into the background on a distance. Church is browning, and the buildings are brown, so the whole brown church will not be noticeable, even if it's very high. Anyway, so water body. From the water body we're going slightly towards here, towards, I think we should be able to recognize this, a big highway junction. And then I've drawn it straight, but basically we're going to follow the highway all the way down along the valley of this city over here, which I don't recall the name of. Here's a VR station, but basically it's only for reference because we're continuing down the valley, all the way south, both river and road, until we get to the coast and Sendai, and that's over here. Again, also a VR beacon was set up here just for reference. This whole flight should take 1 hour and 7 minutes, so let's say 1 hour 15 with all the stuff going wrong. This is our route. Now 1123, 1128 and 1163. I'm sure I won't remember it, so I'll have to go back here. But in any case, this is what will happen. This is the plan. Now, let's see. I have pre-warmed the engines. So, let's see how that went out. Battery on. Oh yeah, over 50 degrees, nice and toasty. So engine heaters can go out. That's it. Fuel can go on. Oh, I already did. Okay, good. Let's check them. You can hear the valve turning, electrical valve. Okay. So those are on. Then we're gonna start it up. And starting up, first we do the nav lights and we do the beacon lights so that people know around us that we're going to be starting up and that the aircraft is manned. Turn on the pump. Right engine third, because the hydraulics pump is on the engine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Turn it off. Contact. And as soon as it turns over, full mixture, engine running, lean it back on the throttle to 1000 RPM and let it warm. Now this is fun, I'll show this again. You already noticed this is how much the battery went down starting, but then I can now add in the alternator, meaning that the engine is now powering both the cockpit stuff, the starter, and of course the battery is now charging. Good show! We did this, now we're gonna do the same thing on the left, the right hand and the left hand engine. This is off. Oh, this is the wrong one. Defroster blower on, fan on, heater, defroster, those are now working as well. Instead of on the battery, now using the alternator. Fuel booster can go off for now. Fuel booster on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Back on the throttle. Start up. Hand on the mixture. Full mixture. And she's running back to 1000 RPM. Let her warm up. Now of course we have 2 alternators running, twice the fun. So we can now put in our avionics, our autopilot. The slave is on for the HSI, but I will rectify it anyway. 118. There we are. Parametric pressure set. Put this one on standby. We are in Japan now, so I should put this to 1200. Let's be correct here. P2 heat can go on, and all the other stuff can go on. Cabin lights, cabin heater, all set. Pump can go off again. Our aircraft is running. Now for the fuel, I'll send this to the monitor, so the monitor is okay. I've already set up my flight for the VA, so that's done. Let's start it. I'll add some light on the cockpit, just a bit. And here we are. Accumulating dirt again. Some over anxious Russian cleaned her when we were at Elisovo. No clue why that happened, but now you see there's a lot of dirt on the tail here, on the wing roots, on the engine cowling and the nose. It takes away speed, I think, 1 or 2 knots. For now it's just to see, to verify the amount of accumulation over hours. That's the fun thing. Let's put on some headphones. Slightly less noisy working area. This one is high, this one is on, this one is on. Heat the temperature is full and we need to ensure the thruster is on. Okay, we are set to go and we will take off like we landed on runway 30. Now to get a small update on that. We are at RJCH Hakodate. The weather is wind 280 from with a power of 8 knots, visibility is 10 kilometers. This would mean indeed runway 30 with an 8 knot headwind and 1 knot crosswind, which is negligible. Good show. Good show. So we're gonna taxi out, then take her to the left and taxi on down to runway 30, which is this way. Runway starts over there. Parking brake off. Oh yeah, the rocker switch. I have to get used to this. Using the rocker switch to steer the aircraft on the ground. Still a bit unconventional for me. You can see I'm doing the rudders, but it hardly ever works unless I put a bit of brake in, then it reacts. Differential braking. This works better now. Taxi light on, forgot that one. I know I should be using checklists, but I'm, well, lazy. We have the first station at 112.3. It's already set up. That's our from station. It's over here. When I do my checks, then I'll set the navigational stuff up. It's mostly rudimentary for checking because we will be flying VFR. Unless the weather dictates otherwise, but I'm pretty sure that despite the heavy clouding, we should be good for a low-level VFR flight. Time over here is 13:41 local, which is the same time as here in the Netherlands. I've chosen that so that the clock represents the same time, but also because it's 10 hours later here. If I fly during the day or even in the evening here, it will always be dark here in Japan. And well, doing this whole tour in the dark seems a bit iffy. Not a whole lot to see then on the YouTubes. I will take the whole runway. Not that I need it, but you know the old pilot adage, there's no such, nothing as useless as a runway behind you, or maybe altitude above you. Take the power off a bit, let her roll out. All the temps and pressures are in the green already, so that's good. Turning on the tiller wheel, the number switch, or you can see it moving on the dash as I fumble it here on my yoke. And we are here, and we are setting parking brake. Right. Okay, first navigational stuff. So we're coming from 112.3 and we're heading out on, what is it, radial 206, no 175. So it is set, and I'm setting this to 175. This will be my outgoing radial, and my course is of course also 175. Now this is not cured for wind, meaning that if we drift, we're taking visual measures. That's not really necessary and not really difficult to do, but we will see it along the needle, so we have a reference next to what our eyes see. We will be flying towards waypoint 7 at Hanamaki, which is 112.8. 112.8. You saw this shift because it's not yet in range. And we'll be flying there, if the plan is okay, on a course of 184. So again, if this comes in range and it shows off, then we know that we're off the chosen track. Nothing to worry about unless that's a whole lot. And we have to keep in mind 116.3, because that is our final destination. So we'll be taking off, making a right turn out of traffic, and then head south towards the northern tip of the island, or peninsula as it is, and then head south from there on a heading 192 towards another tip. That's the navigational part. Then we are getting ready to take off. First we check the engines. Parking brake is set, confirmed. See if we have power. Yes, and we're gonna cycle the props. The props are hydraulically driven with oil, meaning that oil pressure manages the angle of the blades, and by doing this we cycle the oil. If there's any adherence, any bubbles, anything that can clog, or the oil filter is clogged, the engine would not either do this, or it would even just bail. So either no drop or too much drop and shut off. Still at this setting, we're going towards setting the max. We are now both on both. I'm gonna do them both because I've got them on one switch. So first we do left, right, that is the complete 2, and we see a drop. And you see one is behaving more badly. The left engine is more bad. To the right, both, and then left. Left is really bad. Okay. So the left spark plug on the left engine is performing worse. Let's see. Can we see this? And you can see this is nice. From the contact points, you see they're all rather big, whitish. Some are smaller. On the 6th cylinder, there's a very small white blip, meaning that spark plug is fouled. Interesting. Now what I did before we left, I didn't tell you this yet. On the left end engine I had massive spark plugs. I have massive spark plugs. Inspect. It's all green. On the right hand engine I have fine wire spark plugs. They are better sparking plugs. They are more expensive. They perform better. Massive will accumulate more carbon, so they will start to be worse over time. So I'm not saying that it's a feature of what I did here, but I am seeing that the left hand engine, which has massives, is performing worse at the moment, accumulating dirt or foulness on the spark plugs compared to the right hand engine with fine wires. Not saying that it's happening, but it's what I'm seeing. For now I'm gonna monitor that. On full power, normally carbonization would burn off the spark plugs, but we'll see. Anyway, we were a bit diverted because the engine check is complete. It's now effing warm again in the cabin. Turning the heater down. Flaps to 10. Strobes on. Landing lights on. Transponder to altitude. And we will be parking brakes off. We will be going straight, and we're going full power. Here we go. Airspeed alive. Bit of tapping on the brothers. 100 knots already. Pull her up gently. Tap the brakes. Gear up. Feet, flaps up. Climb power. Set manifold to 24. Set props to 2400. And left turnout. I mistakenly said right turnout when we were talking earlier. My speech in head, I make these mistakes often, but when I go and then it's all fine. Taxi and landing lights off. And let's hold around 1500 feet for now. Taking our heading. We don't see the tip yet, but we see a landmass, and we know that's the only landmass that we can encounter on this ending, so we're going there. We're not climbing anymore, so setting her up for a cruise setting of 21 manifold over 2200 RPM on the engines, props. I'm gonna lean her to around 15 gallons an hour per engine. Press the lean button, lean finder. Now I'm gonna lean her down, lean her down, lean her down. Slowly moving the mixture handles back. And she becomes a bit erratic, both engines. Now I see the lean peak on the engines. The blinking. Leaning her back too. Counting all the cylinders. I only want EGTs. Doesn't do a whole lot. No. Okay, fine. This is what it is. I don't need the range to the station that we left. I am gonna start a counter. This is now the start of our flight. Normally takeoff isn't the start, it's the start of your flight is from your first navigational point. I'm gonna take my correct heading now because I see the needle is almost crossing. And I will always also set this on ground speed. So I know the ground speed versus my indicated speed, and that's roughly the same. So we don't have a lot of wind interference on either the tail or the nose. And here comes the fun bit. The clouds are straddling those things. So gonna climb a slight bit. Keeping it on cruise settings because it's not a big climb. Otherwise I would set it to climb settings again. And here you see the tip of the island. I'm not gonna time to every waypoint. I'm keeping the timer going because the total flight should be around 1 hour 15. Just to verify that time. You can see on a slow climb on cruise settings, she's still doing almost 180. Oil temps 00 cold, I don't know what it means. Battery stuff, difference in exhaust shaft tax temperatures, and then per cylinder. You see what happens when you're distracted. That's when you get off course. Okay, we're at the tip. Our next course should be 1902. So I'm putting that there for reference. I'm not using autopilot. But of course you can follow compass, but it's so much niftier, handier, more convenient if you have a little marker on your gyro compass that tells you, that reminds you of which course you were taking. Now I could go over these mountains, but then again maybe come into clouds. If we do so, then I will go to the bay and just circle it until I get to the tip. That adds 2 or 3 minutes to the flight. But as you can see, there's not a whole lot of margin between the bottom of the clouds and the top of the Rockies. The rocky stuff that hurts. Briefly. Like the Comanche, this bird is a dream to hand fly. Not because it's steady, not that it's because it's on rails, because it feels like it should. Can't explain that to you. You just have to believe me from a always manually flying pilot. Aircraft that I fly in real life do not have autopilots. Of course I'm missing the seat of my pants feelings and the buffeting of air over ailerons and rudder and elevator. But the whole stance is realistic. The whole just feels right. Like I said, I can't explain it. Do a bit of low flying, just keep left and right on those peaks. Settle around 3,000 feet, this should be sufficient. Like I said, normally with a lower powered aircraft I would change altitude with throttle, not with attitude. with the angle of the nose, so to speak, nose attitude. But this aircraft has way power enough to just do a gentle climb or a gentle descent of, let's say, 3 to 400 feet a minute to get to a desired altitude. I'm not going to take my course over these because I don't want to go higher, so I'm going to crisscross across the island. I know where my general heading should be, and I know that I'm aiming for the northern tip of this peninsula. I know the map by heart because I prepared it. So whenever I come across it and come back to the sea, I'll just take course 1902 again, and I should be able to see the tip of the next island pretty sure enough. Now, if I look at the analyzer, you see engine 1 is firing on all spark plugs correctly. Now you see that spark plug 6 basically has been cleaned. By the climb and the high power, all the carbonization has been burnt off. So this could be due to the massive spark plugs instead of the fine wires. I don't know. Two has the fine wires, one has the massives. But it is interesting to note and to see along the way, you know, we're nowhere near Australia yet, to see which quirks develop in which engine. Very clear, I can see the sea. So I'm turning back to my normal heading, 192. This of course doesn't do anything anymore, because this was related to my first heading of 175-ish, 174. So this is just for reference that the airport that we're coming from is basically on this heading back. I don't want to go up anymore, so stop climbing. Back at 3000. Now there's the southern tip, but we wouldn't be crossing across the southern tip, we were going towards the northern tip of the bay. And, well, wouldn't you know it, that's impossible to see because of low cloud. Oh joyous day. I diverted a bit to the left from the island, so I'm now diverting basically the same rough 10 to 15 degrees to the right to compensate the earlier deviation. We should be good. In my mind I know, okay, I did 3 to 4 minutes 10 to 15 degrees to the left, then if I do the same to the right, I should be generally back on the normal course. I am on the southern edge of this peninsula bit, which I expect, now I expect on roughly this heading to come across another tip, so to speak, in the big bay. There's a big bay and there's a peninsula in the middle jutting out. When I say 3000 feet, I don't mean 2800, I mean 3000. Visibility isn't, again, the greatest. Sink the engine a bit so it won't drift on power. Almost 11 minutes on the way. I was hoping for better views. In any case, it's good that we have some VOR stations plotted in for safety measures. There's land coming. There's a small island here. I don't recall that. This looks like a tip of something. Yeah, this is my tip. Okay, if I recall correctly, do the same course down, roughly. So 190. I'm descending a bit again. Visibility isn't the greatest, but we are on a visual course still. Heading 190. Indicated is just below 180, ground speed is 183, so we're enjoying a slight tailwind. We're at 3,000 feet and I'm not happy about visibility, because I know we are going over mountainous terrain soon. See it coming up here already. So dividing a bit to the left. Because we still have to find that big lake to the south. But there's mountains in between, I'm pretty sure of that. If this keeps coming down, or the ground continues to come up, then I will probably climb to roughly 6,000 and heat the course until we find our next VOR station. Then then the plan changes. Later on we're looking for a big lake with, on the southern end of it, a small pointy mountain slash volcano. Hurricane, wait, really? Already 3,500, putting in a bit of margin. Yeah, you see already over there between the clouds something that isn't cloud, something that's higher than horizon. If more pops up, then we will be able we will be forced to go up more. Still snow here. This is kind of neat, because if we speak latitudes, we are roughly the same as the Pyrenees Mountains. Oh, I'm losing station 1. South of France, north of Spain. In Europe, those are areas that are balmy, 15 to 20 degrees at the moment, I guess. Not in the Pyrenees Mountains, of course, the tops, but. And here it's heftily winter. It's white outside, and the outside temperature is minus 12, minus 30. Inside 26. Lovely. So you got the feeling, I got the feeling, the impression that we were way more far north still. But if I relate it to Europe, to the latitudes that we're going now, those are comparable with northern Spain. Meaning that in 2 flights we will be over the latitudes of Morocco, northern Africa. So I'm really interested in what the weather will do. Will it stay wintry until we all of a sudden come to Okinawa or Taiwan, something like that? Been thinking a bit about my route. I'm guessing south of, doing some sightseeing over Japan, then Okinawa, then Taiwan, then along the Philippines, and then along Indonesia, Papua New Guinea. See, I'm sneakily climbing. My pilot's mind is sneakily climbing. Which is fine, of course. Oh, sorry. Keep manifold at 21. Yeah, that's a big rock over here. Gonna go left. There's a small lake here. I don't recount it on my visual planning. Was a bit of course to the left, to the right, so now I'm going a bit to the left, go around this lump. It's no Mount Fuji, but it still hurts when you hit it. Back to my set course. You see, I'm not very steadfast on the course. Visuals, or the lack of visuals, don't help. But generally weaving around the set course makes that the overall experience of the course will be good. I have no doubt about that. I am, though, I didn't set a timer between the waypoints. Normally you would do that on a navigational log. So calculating the time over target versus the actual time over target, so you then can compensate. But I am actively searching for that lake, big lake. These are all little ones. worth the effort. And in any case, in the current visuals, very hard to navigate on. Basically above clouds now. Now it becomes really spooky. Yeah, this is not okay. This is not okay. Because now if there's a mountain in front of me, I wouldn't be able to tell. So, mixtures forward, props 24. Manifold pressure 24. We're climbing. I have got a signal on the VOR2. Just in time. Steer 180. Let's do that. Let's climb 6,000. Luckily we have a backup plan with radios. I think this is the lake though. This is a big one. Yeah, this should be it. I see an outcropping here. So this is my waypoint. Yeah, that's my waypoint. Okay, so that's good. There should be a small volcano in there. I guess that's it. Yeah, that's it. Must be. Even if I only see half of it. Okay, that's 6,000 feet, leveling off. Going back to cruise settings. 21 manifolds. RPM. Guess let's find this again. Doing the lean finder again, just for the practice of it. There we are. Bit reach of peak. And let's ride the radial. 60 miles. Ground speed of 200. Time to target 18. Total time in the air 24 minutes. Shifting, so I'm being pushed to the left, so I'm steering a slight bit to the right. In the meantime, as station 1 is now in op, I can set this one to station 1. It's easier because then it's all on the same apparatus. Now I only have to check this one. And I know that when we get over flat area, that it's a whole valley, so then I can descend basically again, get back into a VFR groove. It's just too foggy to go down with their... Oh, well, hello. Well, that's the fog. To get over, down low over area that has so much height differences in there. It's not worth the risk. So when we see there's a canyon and there's a built-up area like this area over here, then we know that we can go down a bit. Hopefully there's no fog there. There's still some stuff around. Oh, the same passengers, that's fun. It's always the same people. Must love flying with me. In the meantime, 1163 was my last. My destination. So I'll tune that in. Minutes out, 27 minutes in the air, ground speed of 196. The air over these mountains is doing stuff on my altitude, because I'm being either pushed up or being nose down. So normally I have no trouble keeping altitude, but you see that my altitude is going up and down and I'm not adamant enough to catch it. If you would ever do an exam, then altitude keeping is one of the bits of it. Both in level flight as in turning, and basically you're not allowed to wander more than 100 feet. Or even even 50 feet in a turn. I can hear the elevator trim clicking when I use it, but it's not showing visually like the rocker wing. Here you can the nose wheel steering. You can see it working over there. I don't see the rocker wheel doing stuff on elevator trimming, but okay, not a big deal. Gosh, why am I yawning so much all of a sudden? Because I'm certainly not bored. It does seem that winter is slowly fading. Instead of purely white mountains, we're now down to green with patches of white. Outside temp still well below zero, minus 17, 18 even. It's also looking time that pretty soon I have to refuel something. I haven't refueled since Kamchatka. Because you know, in Russia gas is cheap. approaching the built-up stuff. It seems to be that all the rocky bits, all the uneven terrain is dropping away here. Now in this stuff, oh, I'm guessing we missed the road bit, the road junctions. But following the VR, we are okay, of course. So not finding the road junctions is not a big deal. A mountain in front of me. Yeah. Okay, well this is built up, so I am in that big valley. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull some throttle to 50. I'm gonna descend to 2000. Sure, over that built-up area there is no elevation stuff, and I'll be actually able to see it instead of peering through clouds. I'm gonna add a bit of mixture, because when I go down with a lower mixture it does give the risk of running the engines too lean. As my density altitude decreases. You can see I'm now right off the track. This is the road that was meant to follow. Could well be. Oh, there's fog again over there. Naughty weather. Not the best VFR weather, in any case. I do expect this is the highway I'm meant to follow, so I'm gonna do that. There was only one highway in the valley, and this is pretty much clear that it is. This is the only big road I can see on both sides. So I'm gonna take a guess and follow that. In any case, it's roughly the same direction as our VOR is pointing, so I don't see real risk in doing it. I'm coming below the foggy inversion layer now. It could well be an inversion, yeah. An inversion is basically a layer of warmer air than the air beneath it. So the air beneath it can't rise, it gets trapped. And when there's there's moisture in that air, then that moisture becomes trapped. And lo and behold, you have low fog. There's a river. Yes, both the river and the road. Here's the road. There's the river. Okay. Almost to 2000. This is very slow descent. Speeding up a bit. This is the road. That's the river. Hard to recognize though. The weather is not helpful in this. Back to cruise settings. Can't find myself yawning so much. Plenty of sleep. I'm not bored in any way. Yeah, there's my road. I should be 13 miles out of the station. So the needle will go wandering more and more as the radials come together, come closer, until of course they converge on where the station is. You can see a nav radio as a big spoke wheel with 360 spokes in it, and we are walking along spoke number 190. 180. No, 180 is the course. Yeah, 184. Normal enrich until 50 Fahrenheit drop. Oh, minus 50, minus 46, so I'm lean as can be. Turn the wheel a bit more. Yeah. God, this is bad. I had so hoped for clearer weather. Of course I can manipulate the weather, but where's the fun in that? Now it is important, of course, to keep as much to the heading as we set out on, because there may not be mountains in this valley, this very built-up valley, but to the left and to the right I see stuff that's harder than clouds. So if we go wandering, then we run the risk of wandering into mountains off our beaten path. that would be bad. Ice accumulation. This aircraft cannot handle ice accumulation. We're just below zero. Yeah, it's not really jumping over. Okay, well, half a mile, so it's good enough. Oh, this is the airfield with the VOR, so that's good. Okay, our selected heading from here should be 195. I'm also tuning that in here and in here. This is one of the major drawbacks, I think, on the Aerostar. Not on the model made by A2A, because that's true to life. Normally, GA aircraft do not have an anti-icing system, except maybe the props like here, and mostly a pitot heater, like we have. But not for the engines and the fuselage. You can see what is happening, it's accumulating ice. Ice does two things. One, it adds weight. And as long as you accumulate enough weight, the aircraft becomes heavier and heavier until you're above a safe spot. Or you become too heavy, and well, basically the lift that the aircraft makes according to the speed is not enough to counter the weight. That means you're going down, which is bad in a place where you don't want to go down. Secondly, if it adds to the wing root and the topper part of the wing, the top part of the wing, it will hamper aerodynamics. What a wing does is, due to its shape, make air go faster underneath the wing than it does over the wing, because air wants to stick together. If you have a, let's say, a block of air, and you send a wing through it, and the block will split, but the bottom part of that block will want to stay in the same place as the top part. So when the wing passes behind the wing, those blocks again mingle. They fit. Faster moving air has less air pressure, meaning that the slower bit going over the wing has lower pressure, the faster bit under the engine under the wing has higher pressure. Thus the wing is pushed up. This is what we call lift. Now, if the air above the wing is disturbed compared to the air in the lower part of the wing, then basically the stall speed goes up. So the air doesn't get, it's not making enough lift. Also the engines are getting issues. See that? 21, but my speed is dropping. This is bad. Now it's worrisome. Engines are fine. I'm losing speed. So the engine intakes may be affected. They are not carburetor fed engines, they are injected engines, so there's no carburetor, so there's also no carburetor icing possible. You can't ice up what's not there. This is now worrisome. I'm going to a higher power setting. 24/24. Climb setting basically. I want out of this freezing fog air. The reality of it is, you can only get out of freezing foggy air by descending, getting into a warmer air layer. As you can see, there's not much descending to be had here. You can go up to get into drier air, which will be colder. That will stop accumulating ice. It will not stop, or it will not remove it. And without an anti-icing system, I can't shake this ice. Nose and front of wing engines. Engines are suffering a bit. I'm not getting the speed that I want to see. I'm roughly 165 on indicated. My ground speed is 173. So the tailwind component is real enough. I'm not pleased about my power output. Stuff forming on my windows. I have a defroster on, but yeah, why look at that? Oh dear. Okay. Autopilot on. I'm gonna check for another airport in the area. Is there an airport that I can land before Sendai? And the answer is no. There's another one, Matsushima, which is also along the coast, but that's also only 10 miles away from Sendai. For free. Okay, 1163 is where we're going. Fortune 1143. I've got nothing yet. Speed is now going below the white marker. Come fly today, 828 they say. It'll be fun, they say. I can't cure this by going down to a warmer bit of air, because there is no warmer bit of air and there is no going down from here. press on. Minutes, 25 minutes to go. I am curious about the speed drop though, because the engines are not dropping in power. Normally, you know, if the inlet's ice up, that's just cooling air. There's no air intake for the engine itself, I think. Is there something that I could see? I have no clue. Firing good. Firing good. In-flight inspection. Very realistic. All good, all good. There's nothing here about a clogged inlet filter or something like that. Clogged air filter, that's over here. Running almost full power, climb power, and I'm 130 knots and dropping. And I would not expect it. I would expect lifts to go down, or in other words stall speed to go up. I would not expect so much speed reduction due to ice on the nose and engine cowling. There's a fair bit amount of drift going on as well. No reception on either station. Isn't that fun? My. Full power. And oh, it's the same as yesterday on the ground. That all of a sudden the ice is gone. Now it's too. The ice is suddenly gone. It's still below zero. The weight is gone. It's too soon. There's something weird here on the icing. There's something weird here on the icing going on. I've got my speed back. Life is good again. Powering back to normal cruise, 21. Over 2200. It's the same as yesterday on the ground when we were iced up due to the snow, when we were landing, and during the taxi all of a sudden, poof. Well, I can go back to 1163 now. And we have a signal on that. That is nice. Steer 200. This is not realistic, and I don't know if it's A2A or if it's the sim. But I was going into issues. I was definitely going into trouble, and all of a sudden, poof, all the ice is gone from the nose, from the engines, from the leading edge of the wing, and from probably also from the tailplane. Suddenly, it's all gone. And it's still below zero, so that wouldn't happen if you're below zero. Just all magically disappear. It would if you go into a warm air layer. But that's not the case. Weird. I will definitely head up to the A2A Discord or forum to ask about this. And set up my recording so that we can view it. 117. The wind is coming from the right, so Sendai has a runway of 17. I think let's prepare a bit. Flight planner. RJSS. Sendai. The weather from the north, 16 knots. Or northwest, sorry. Yeah, so runway 30 is recommended. 16 on the nose. I don't think there's an ILS. I think I said 27 as an ILS. Yeah. So no ILS. That's fine. But you saw what happened there on the ice. Now the speed dropping, I wouldn't expect as much. But luckily I've never encountered icing in real life. I would expect the stall speed to go up. So the lift diminishing instead of the speed going down. So that's also something I'm gonna ask. But the ice suddenly all disappearing, that's weird. That's not something I would expect to magically happen. Anyway, I'm not following this one anymore. I'm following this one. I'm still on autopilot now, for the time being. Just following the heading. The heading here is based on the VR reception there. And again, winter has caught us. It was some time ago looking at just white patches, but this is indeed completely white again and still way below zero. Again, checking latitude wise, we are roughly on the 39th parallel. That's the north to the mid of Spain. So interesting how these climates go about. Here we go again. If your temperature is below zero and you're going through cloud stuff, you're gonna accumulate ice. Aircraft is the fuselage is amazingly cold, it's below zero, cutting through the cold air, and then you hit moisture. Moisture will immediately hit and freeze. there's water. So the other airport should be over there that we earlier thought about. But I'm going across and somewhere here on the apex of the bay. There's Sendai. Okay, interesting stuff. I will definitely ask someone at A2A to look at this. If this is this a sim thing, is this an A2A thing? In the meantime, we will definitely refuel for our next stints. But that's for the later stints. Looks like visibility is okay here. Seems there's an airport over there as well. Blinking stuff. Now we're gonna cross over the city of Sendai. I'm guessing it's best to just go along the coast and then into runway 30, which is a 90-degree angle almost on the coast. So what I'm going to do, autopilot off. I'm going to set this station to 300. I know I'm gonna set it here over as well, just because I don't have to look at multiple instruments that way. That way I know the runway direction, because that's what the arrow is pointing at. This is the runway direction, so you know something about the position of the runway. This needle doesn't say that to you, this one does. And it also means that when it starts turning, then it won't guide me to the runway, because the VOR is in the vicinity of the runway, it's not at the runway, it's not an ILS. Reminds me that I still have to look at this RNAV thing, because then I would be able to use it as such. That's for another time. For now it's okay. I'm gonna take her over the water. And when I see the needle turning, then I know that my airport is on my 3 to 4 o'clock, and also the runway is. I would be too late by then to turn in, of course. What I could do for that is turn this one to 290. That means this one starts moving before this one, meaning I have more time to react, so to say. About playing with the radios, playing with how radials work. If you can play with it, then you can own it. Okay, going down to 1000 feet, so idling off, putting my mixtures full rich, landing and taxi lights on. Strap in, peeps. Oh, you are. Good. 6 miles, 2 minutes. There's a river outcropping there, so I'm pretty sure something like this is the runway or the airport. Yeah, I think this is the airport. Feet. Let's slow her down. That's runway 27 over there. Gear down. Flaps 1. Flaps 10 degrees. Just call it flap 1. That's runway 27, then 30 is right around the corner. Add some throttle. Now that needle is starting to move, so passing radial 290. So I could already start turning now. Heading is at 300. So if I take a heading off, well, let's say 280, I will be 20 degrees off. Now you see my other needle turning. So now we're gonna look for the runway. And lo and behold, I can't see it. Flaps 20. Give me some lift. That's the runway. I got it. There it is. Now because I had that 290 up on one of the VORs and 30 up on another, I got a head start warning, so to speak, on when to turn in. Flaps 30. And we are on final. Doesn't seem to be a very long runway, so I'm gonna go full flaps and 1 mile out. Let's say around the coastline. Flaps. And now we just use the throttle levers to keep her around 100 knots. I don't like being on the bottom end of the wide arc in this aircraft. The small wings / the high wing loading make it very stally, and if you're behind the envelope then you're gonna stall out. Bit low, compensate. Throttles to 15. There we go. Slowly close the throttles. Keep her flying, keep her flying, keep her flying. There we go. And there was much rejoicing. Flaps up. Landing lights off, strobes off. Transponder off. Let's go left. No idea where I'm gonna park. This looks like a good place as any. Runway vacated. Oh yeah, this is GA. It's this kind of... Oh, let's make it difficult to park here. All these... Oh, these circles are... There's no lines, those are circles, and those to park. Parking places. Parking spots. And there's nothing here then, because all those spots are taken. Let's to go over there then. In the meantime, 1 hour 13 minutes. I calculated 1 hour 16, so show. Good show. These look like parking spots. Going for it. Go, steering wheel, go. Parking brake set. Throttles idle. Turn off all my electrics. Left off. Right off. Meters off. Alternators off. All the heating stuff off. Left light off. Battery off. And that is it. Right. So, what we did, let's see again. Well, fairly what we planned. Took off, took the point, went to Biff of course because of the mountain stuff, but picked it up again, drifted out a bit, avoided these peaks, got into foggy stuff, but we found the lake. My point was actually here, so this was the volcano slash mountainous peaky thing in the middle. Then we went on and on and on the course because we found the nav setting. We missed this one. We missed the road, but it was foggy as shite. Here I got the road, so then I started following it all the way down. Got towards the nav point here. And then I started following the nav and the road. Went in for a bit of a diversion because of the icing stuff, but not too much. Was planning for Matsushima to be an alternate, but didn't have to. Came in Sendai and made a first nice approach into 3-0. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, I am gonna ask on the A2A Discord about the icing stuff suddenly disappearing. That's a bit weird. For this, yeah, I think my next trip will be going towards Mount Fuji, which is over here. And after that, probably passing towards Suzuka Circuit and Kobe. Kobe, it's I think here, something like that. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But we'll be crossing Japan fast enough. I'm not gonna mess with this stuff, with the mountain stuff. It might be very pretty. It probably will be. But you see there, it is and cold and there's clouds. The icing risk is real, so to speak. So I'm probably gonna go VFRing lowly and not doing anything with the mountain stuff here, because I was planning something around here and then going through here, for instance. But no, that seems to be out of the question with the current weather patterns. In any case, thank you for watching. And on to the next one, which will probably be tomorrow, maybe even today, but probably tomorrow. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.